Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
What's up? What's up? How are you?
I'm good. As we just established, I'm very sweaty right now.
Yeah, Josh is looking a little sweaty, a little shiny.
Is it sweaty or am I just glowing?
Honestly, it really could be a glow. That's very
Could
possible.
be. I can assure you
Yeah.
it's not. I'm just very hot.
Yeah, the lack of AC in Europe really does get me. I'm like hiding in the office right now because we have not for any reason other than the fact that like it's good to go to the office, but being here is so nice because we have AC. So
Nice.
it's so nice.
My office also has AC. And today I think is the hottest day of the week, so it would have made sense to go in today. But I'm going in tomorrow, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, we dug our own grave sometimes.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it is. That's what it is.
It is, yeah.
It's so nice to actually record. So we've been recording, not frequently, but like we only talked 4 days ago. This is like really nice.
Yeah, we're not going to have anything to talk about today.
Oh, that's not true because I'm like truly going through it today. But before we get into it, let's spin a wheel. What challenges have you faced in maintaining your social life and friendships?
I think as I get older, the biggest challenge I'm facing is mostly just wanting to spend time doing nothing. And maybe I'm too young to be saying this at the moment. I'm only 28, going on 29 in a couple of weeks. But I just feel a lot of the time like I'd prefer to sit down and do nothing. But at the same time, so as a result, my social life, my friendships, I think have definitely suffered. And I think we've probably spoken about this a couple of times as well with my relationship as well. That kind of takes precedence over all of my friends and social life. For example, I was meant to see a friend last week who I haven't been on a friend date with for a while. And we'd planned this little date, our sort of normal thing that we used to do quite frequently, that we do less so because we both have girlfriends now. And Savita had some bad news, so she was upset. And I was like, you know what? Like, I have to be with her. And part of me also, this isn't the only reason that I did it. This sounds like it is now, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. But
Okay.
I thought that if I didn't stay behind with her, she would get even more upset with me for not prioritizing her. But anyway, to answer the question, I think it's just important to maintain those friendships over text. More than anything, we're so lucky to have the ability to text, to have the ability to phone call as well, whenever we want. That's the great thing about mobile phones, is that I could be out and about on my way to meet someone or doing something with Savita, and I could take 10 minutes out to reach out to a friend over text with a phone call. So I think the digital age, while yes, you could argue that texting isn't a real connection, that's a whole other conversation, a whole other argument. But I think that's a really good way as we get older, as life kind of shifts and changes, that we can maintain those friendships and maintain our social life. Bella is very good at that. I talk to Bella about, I'll say, oh, do you remember so-and-so from Gills? Do you remember so-and-so from school? And she'll go, oh yeah, we text all the time. I'm like, oh. Because she seems to just text everyone. It's insane. But it works for her. And as a result, she maintains these friendships years later. So I envy that. And I think that's something that we can, maybe not to the extent of Bella, because I think she takes it a bit too far. I don't know how she doesn't get exhausted from it, but we can all take note of that.
Yeah, completely. I have an ongoing list of people, and I started this list before I started traveling, of like people I want to maintain my connections with, because even when I was living in Miami, most of my friendships were long distance, because most of my friendships are through Tony Robbins or through different areas of life. But like I've never lived in one place with all of my loved ones at once. I left home at 18, lived in New York for 6 years. And most of my friends are through Tony Robbins, and then I left New York to go to Miami, and now I have some friends in Miami. So like my friends are, and now that I'm traveling, my friends are literally, unless you're like excluding this Paris leg, which we'll get into, Like, my friends are everywhere. So, like, the only way to maintain the friendships is to have a virtual connection. And I have a list of people I want to maintain and want to catch up with. And as a woman, what I do is every time I'm ovulating, I like have a list of people I know I want to check in with, where I'm like, I know this friend's going through a breakup. I know this friend is going through a move. I know this friend is going through XYZ. Like, I haven't checked in with this person for a while. And I just send a quick voice message to all these people, like once a month. The people who are coming to mind, I'd be like, hey, just thinking about you. How are you doing? If you have time to catch up on a phone call, let's do it. If not, send me a voice message or send me a text. But I'm just thinking about you and I love you, and that's all. And it's funny enough, the people I typically reach out to each month, also the first thing they say to me is, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. Like, it always happens that way.
It
Every
always
time.
does happen that way, doesn't it? That always happens where I'll message someone I haven't spoken to in months. And they'll go, I was literally just thinking about you, or I was going to text you this week. It's so funny how that happens. Our minds are
Every
like
time.
connected.
Yeah, I think every shit is connected. Everything's connected. It's really cool. I just think it's like, it actually takes, in the same way that like your relationships in person take time, energy, effort, and love, like your relationships virtually also take that same amount of time, energy, effort, and love. Maybe it's a little different because it's not that in-person thing, but you're totally right. Like 10 minutes on your way to the office, or like you have a lunch break, give a friend a call for 20 minutes. I was literally on the phone with our girlfriend Mary yesterday for 30 minutes and today for 45. And just like, it was an in-between moment. I'm like, oh man, I like really need to talk to Mary. So it was
Mm.
like a call situation, but it's like putting in that energy and that effort and trying to find the in-between moments where you can maintain your relationship. And sometimes, like, if your relationship is just one of those where like once a year you catch up on the phone for 1 hour, that's okay too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I was actually just talking to Lauren Burnett about this yesterday, because obviously I reached out to her to invite her on the podcast to catch up with us. And I was saying in a voice message, yes, we don't need any excuse technically to catch up with our friends, but the podcast is a great excuse to catch up with our friends. Like with people that I haven't spoken to, I haven't really probably spoken to a lot of the people, any of the people really that we've just invited on. Won't give any spoilers away, because who knows when they're going to be recorded. But it is such a nice excuse. But then Lauren was saying the kind of friendship that the three of us have. I speak to Lauren, I think, probably more than you do, but it's still very much like once every couple of months. But the kind of friendship we have, which I think is very special coming from the Tony Robbins environment and quite unique coming from that environment, is that you can just go months without talking to someone, even years in some cases.
Years.
And
Literally
you
years.
reach out and you pick up where you left off, right? A really good example of that I can think of is Adam Films, who I hadn't seen in years. I hadn't spoken to him in years. And then we were in California a couple of years ago. And I just reached out to him and I was like, let's do something, because we're all in San Diego. And we did. And it was like nothing had changed, right? Like it was like the same Adam we knew when we were 17, 18. And that's a really beautiful gift that we have in our lives, I think.
I think so. And that's something so special about the environment where we grew up with this Tony Robbins summer camp, was that we really only knew these people for 4 days every year. Like maybe if you're lucky, you like visit each other or you see each other at another Tony Robbins event. But for the most part, like you see these people once a year for 4 to 5 days and that's it. And these 4 to 5 days are like super intense, so much fun, super intense emotionally. Like you are going through a lot of stuff. You're breaking through a lot of mental barriers and like processing through a lot of trauma. And that naturally brings people much, much closer. You're not dealing with like years and years of bullshit being like small talk. It's none of that. It's okay. Tell you have issues with your family, XYZ. Let's get into it right now. You're like sharing with a stranger and that makes you naturally very close. And then when you see each other, because we're so used to it in the nature of these relationships, only seeing each other once a year for 4 days, when you do see these people again years later, it's so easy to pick it back up because that's just the status quo of the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, speaking of which, this was something I was debating bringing up. And Savita said that I should speak to you about it specifically.
Okay.
So I have reached out to our mutual friend numerous times over the last few months, right? And
Okay.
it's someone who you've said to me that I should reach out to because maybe they weren't necessarily having the easiest time. I've reached out multiple times and just to check in. And literally the last time I think was during Gills, when she was at Gills, and I just had a brainwave. I was like, I'd love to catch up with her. So I literally said, can we FaceTime when you're done with Gills? Let's jump on a call when you're done with Gills. And it wasn't even inviting her on here because obviously she's been on here before and there's no harm in having her back on. But I'm just saying, I fancied a bit of one-to-one FaceTime time.
Yeah.
And nothing. Like, read my message, nothing. And so I think the reason I wanted to talk about it with you is just in case you knew anything, because it's been a little bit confusing. And I think the best thing for me to do would be to just message her and go, be upfront about it, and tell her how I'm feeling about it, just to see if it's about busyness or whatever. But yeah, it's just been in my mind. And I think you're the closest person to her in my world anyway.
Yeah.
So it was a good sort of starting point, I think, to raise this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I literally talked to her like twice. I was the one who called her, but I know she's going through a lot right now, and not something I'm gonna get into a pod, obviously, because it's her life.
Yeah.
But I know she's going through a lot right now, but it's all, and I know she's like literally the busiest she's ever been. Like, it's so crazy. Honestly, if she read your message and didn't respond, I don't think it's personal. I think she just read it and forgot to reply, knowing her.
I think that's what I was thinking, because there hasn't been any bad blood or anything. But I think in my head, you always jump to the worst case scenario, or at least I do. And so in my head, I was like, is it because I haven't reached out to her in a while since she moved back to the US? Because we haven't been in massive contact since she moved. In London, it was much more so because obviously we would see each other fairly frequently. But in my head, I was just going through all these scenarios like, have I done this? Have I done that? Is she upset because of this? But I guess that's what happens when you don't communicate, actually.
Yeah.
Is instead of finding out the truth, I had all these scenarios running in my head. So I think the best solution there is actually just to communicate. And
I think so. And I
yeah.
think this is such a good example of such a broader challenge that people have with miscommunication, is that something doesn't happen, someone doesn't respond to a text, or they don't respond in the way you expect, or blah, blah, blah. And you start going through these like mental spirals about, oh my God, they don't like me. Oh my God, they're mad at me, blah, 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 blah. When in reality, they're just busy and they like open the message and forgot to reply. Because knowing our friend, yeah, she's going through a lot and yeah, she's super busy, but she asks about you. Like, every time I talk to her, she's like, oh, how's Josh doing? You know what I mean? Or not every time, but like a lot of times she's like, how's Josh doing? What's happening? She's asking about you too. I would just send her a little follow-up, but she is super, super busy. Like,
no, sure.
insane.
Yeah. I figured, because I know what she's up to roughly, mostly because of you and I think Bella as well slightly, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny
Actually, because of Cheska, because my
Really?
sister was with her most recently.
Oh, right, at Gills.
Yeah.
Right. No, literally I was on the phone with her yesterday and she's, oh yeah, I got a dog. I was like, what? Hello?
Nice.
And she was like, oh, I thought you saw it on Instagram. I was like, I'm not on Instagram. Like, I deleted the app. You like, come on. Not that you know this, because no one's following my life as much as I'm following my life, but I'm like, I don't have that app. So I have no idea what's happening in my friends' lives unless they're telling me. I'm like, oh, like, a dog is a huge, on top of everything else, like, it's crazy. So yeah, I would definitely just reach out to her and like, I think just in general, like, rule of thumb, like, if you feel confused about where you stand with somebody or confused about interaction with somebody, I think best rule of thumb is to reach out. Maybe via a voice message. That might be better because you can hear tone of voice. But if we leave things unsaid and things get lost in miscommunication, then that's how relationships like
Crumble.
Exactly.
Actually.
And like, how can you maintain good relationships with someone if you are not able to communicate that? So I think like literally just chat with her and be like, hey, just send a quick voice message.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's the key. It's funny about what you said about social media, because I think these days a lot of people don't expect to have frequent catch-ups, because you're like, you can see my whole life on social media, right? And the first point is with your social media. If I didn't know how you run your social media, I would think that you're always on it, right? And checking people's stories and keeping up to date. But obviously, you don't even have the app installed.
Yeah.
And so the posts are coming from an automated space, right?
Kind
in
of.
a way.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, but also you figured out a way that is easier for you to stay off the app as well, which is great. And I've really been trying to limit my screen time recently. I don't know if we spoke about this last week. I think we might have briefly done. I went to Tomorrowland and I was coming down quite hard afterwards. And so my screen time just skyrocketed, right? It was like, honestly, between 1.5 to 2 hours on Instagram every day.
Whoa.
And I identified it very quickly because my screen time has been really good over the last few months. I've put systems in place and I was like, right, this is depressing me. I'm not going to go on social media again for the rest of this week. Um, and I didn't. I stayed off it. I then implemented a screen blocker app, like screen time blocker app,
Okay.
so that my Instagram is blocked for most of the day now. And now it's just, I don't scroll. I don't really check stories. I'm just doing it to check DMs. And now that trying to get back into the swing of things, now that I am back in the swing of things,
Right.
posting on our social media. So I don't really use Instagram either. And so I've had people over the last few months who I'll meet up with and they'll go, yeah, the new dog is tearing up the place. And I'm like, you have a dog? Like literally exactly what you described with Mary. Or, oh, I was in Jamaica last week. I'm sure you saw my stories. Like that beach was amazing. I was like, no, I don't watch stories.
That's exactly what happened with Bella when I went to go visit your sister. And I was like, oh, who do you live with? And she said, my boyfriend. And I was like, you have a boyfriend? I didn't even know. It's just like, I've been annoying about on social media. It's like, well, look at social media.
Honestly, Bella does it all the time. I'll catch up with her on FaceTime and she'll be like, oh yeah, I was at this party the other day. Did you see my story? And I'm like, no, I just don't watch Instagram. And you have to tell me that you're up to these things. But I think that's a nice part of staying away from social media is that instead of people thinking that describing their entire life based off an Instagram story or an Instagram post, it's so nice to actually be able to hear them describe it and then they can show you photos that they want to.
I love
like
getting
it's a
photos
real
from friends on like their trips.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you sent me a ton of photos of Thailand. I was
I
like,
did,
please send
yeah,
me
because
photos.
exactly. And I love it when people ask me to send photos instead of just relying on what they see on social media. It feels like a real interaction as opposed to, oh, yeah, that's cool. I've seen that on their Instagram story. I'm going to hit to show them that I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's not a real interaction. It's very fake and surface level, which isn't good for our brains, unfortunately.
No, it's not. No, it is not. It's just, that's like the nature of what the world is right now. It's just like, how do you find the balance between like really catching up and social? Because social media, like truly, we'll say it a million times. It's like a highlight reel. It's not real. Yeah, if you look at my social media, it's, first of all, it's a month behind. So like I'm traveling full time right now. And my close friends and family is the ones that do text me. They're like, I actually have no idea where in the world you are right now because your social media is a month behind. And my really close friends and family have either my location or they have my ongoing like itinerary so they can literally look up where I am if they're curious and in the same city or whatever. But it's like a highlight reel and it's not real. Like it's, people are only posting from their vacations or only posting from whatever. They're not posting. I don't want to say I'm the exception of it. I'm like, they're not sitting here posting, crying, working in the office. I am because that's what I'm doing with my life right now. But like in general, no one is, oh yeah, I'm crying at work and posting that. That's not how it works.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, people see my Instagram, which is full of travel and raves and cool things. And again, I'll go months without seeing people. And these people don't interact with me. It's exactly what we were just talking about. They rely on seeing my stories and my posts. And so I meet up with them after months, sometimes a year plus of not seeing them or talking to them. Like I'll bump into them at a party and they'll go, oh my God, Josh, you're living the life. I have one of my exes. Anyway, okay. I had one of my exes DM me reply to one of my stories saying, Josh, your life is crazy. And I was like, it's really not. Yeah, because you only see the cool things I'm posting. Most of my life is work, especially at the moment. I sit down at my desk in my bedroom most of the time and it's quite mundane. And then most evenings I'm not necessarily doing anything. And what I tend to do is post a lot of stories on the weekends when I'm living it up. But actually, Monday to Friday, I'm really not living it up. And that's Monday to Friday is a very good percentage of my life, right? A very high percentage. I'm not going to go into the maths because I'm terrible at maths. But yeah, so social media, I think we've said this so many times before, and it's such a retorted rhetoric in general in this whole sort of, well, in general in the world these days, but social media equals bad.
Social media equals bad. We talked about it so much. We've definitely talked about the pros and cons of social media and like how much it can impact you. Now, one thing I have to be honest about, because on Friday, Josh and I recorded and I was like I was having my weekend away, whatever. And you sent me a voice message about your third day at Tomorrowland. And I have not gotten a chance to listen to it yet.
I didn't even clock, to be honest. If you didn't bring it up, I wouldn't have been offended.
I know. Well, now it, but okay. But can we hear the third day? Okay, so
Well, so yeah, so obviously we spoke. I think we actually did speak about the third day of Tomorrowland last week, but the aftermath was what we didn't talk about.
okay.
I had a complete crash because of a combination of a drug come down, a combination of lack of sleep and BPD, which was hitting me since before the drugs, right? So it was already seeping in or sneaking in, and then it hit me, all three of those things. And I ended up having a very intense conversation with Savita about BPD and about how it's impacting not only me, but her as well. And effectively, the long and short of it is, I won't go into the big detail now that I did in the voice message, because we'll be here all afternoon. But the long and short of it is that I said I want to start therapy for the BPD. I was diagnosed going back a few years now. And at the time, I just accepted it. And I was like, you know what? It shows I'm not crazy. And that there's actually a reason behind everything that happens to me or the way my mind works. And I just accepted it. I didn't get into any therapy, even though I was told that the best way to combat it is with therapy, which is specifically DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy.
Okay.
But I just never looked into it because I thought I don't need it. Now I can manage it myself. But it has got to a point where we're now a few years down the line. I'm clearly not managing it myself. There have been numerous explosions, complete mental blow-ups that have happened. And they wouldn't necessarily be happening if I was going through therapy. Now, I started therapy last week, as promised.
Okay.
It wasn't, I was hoping for therapy specifically related to BPD. I've paid for a month up front, and I'm going to see out that month, even though it's turned out not to be specifically related to BPD. So after this month, after August, I'm then going to look into actually getting specific DBT therapy. I think the biggest thing for me with this big move towards getting better is I saw a statistic that, and don't hold me to this because I think it's not quite what I'm saying right now, but I think about 75% of people with BPD who enter therapy go into remission after year one or within the first year, which is crazy. That's a huge percentage. And then it's something like 90% go into remission after 5 years or within 5 years. And 99% go into remission within 15 years. So along those lines, I may be a year or two off with each of those, but that's crazy. That basically means I don't think I'm a particularly severe case of BPD. So I don't think it would necessarily take me up to 15 years. But the fact that you can actually not overcome it, but you can pretty much move past it with these coping mechanisms, that was the biggest eye-opener to me. Now, while I'm doing this therapy, this non-BPD therapy for the next month, I'm spending a lot of time researching coping mechanisms and how I can deal with it myself and try and build on that. And I've been working on it since Tomorrowland, because Tomorrowland, it was a disaster. Like, I had a fucking amazing time, but mentally it was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And in the 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks since Tomorrowland, I have been a different person. And I actually said to Savita on Sunday, we were in the car driving back to London from my dad's. And I just said, out of interest, and be completely honest with me, out of 10, how would you say I've been since Tomorrowland? And she said, the difference is you're a different person. She said, I can see how much work you're putting in literally in these first 2 weeks. And she rated it a 9.2, which is, I think, pretty huge, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
in the past, and we're going back even just a few weeks ago, she did it based on percentages, actually. And she said, I feel like you're giving me 50% of what you can give. When you're on drugs, which I think we did speak about on the podcast, I'm not sure if I said that in the podcast or the voice message, but we won't get into that now. But I'll just give you a surface level summary. She said, when I'm on drugs, it's 90%.
Okay.
When I'm sober, it's 50%. So for her then to say on Sunday after 2 weeks or since Tomorrowland to say that I'm a 9.2, that's a huge jump. If we're going based on percentages, that's like a 42% jump,
What
right?
kind of shifts how do you feel like you've been making since Tomorrowland?
I'm trying to be much more present. I'm really trying to be more purposeful and, okay, maybe purposeful is the wrong word, but just present in the moment.
Yeah.
And thinking before I react and really taking the mental space to not letting things escalate. And I did become really good at that in the past, where I would catch sort of episodes before they happen. And that I think is a really good way to deal with BPD, is if you're able to identify the patterns before they start patterning, then the episode won't happen, the blow up won't happen.
Right.
So there's definitely an element of identifying the patterns, but also just allowing myself to breathe, and just take the time to think before I react. That's honestly the key for me. But also, I think it comes from a place of being more purposeful with everything I'm doing over the last 2 weeks. I'm really trying to, when I'm around people, just be the best version of myself, even if I'm extremely tired, because that's one thing that at Tomorrowland I really wasn't doing. I was the best version of myself until a certain point, and then I would start getting really tired, and everyone around me saw that I was tired, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now what I'm trying to do is, even if I'm really tired, I can change my state like that. I can change my state in a heartbeat. You know that. We learned that as when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we lose sight of when we get older. If you're feeling sad, feeling low, and it's not always a solution, of course. I'm not saying it's a one size fits all, but do a little dance or just mentally switch up and pretend, fake it till you make it. I'm such a firm believer in faking it till you make it.
Yeah.
And your mind will believe it. Your mind will shift. So literally, I'll give you an example. I'll finish my work day, I'll be feeling really tired, and I won't be feeling like socializing. I won't be feeling like seeing Savita, but I'll be meeting her for dinner, right? So I'll leave the house feeling tired. It's been a shitty work day. It's been stressful. But the moment I catch sight of her waiting outside the restaurant or supermarket, wherever she's waiting for me, I've done this a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. She'll see me, we'll make eye contact, and I'll do a funny little dance in the street, right? Like kick my legs up or something. And the moment I do that, there is just a mental shift. Like I suddenly feel like I can socialize, like I can be the best version of myself for whoever I'm with, and for myself, of course. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Our brains are so powerful, but at the same time, they only have so much power over us. You know, we actually have control over our brains. We can dictate what we think and the way we feel to a large extent. So yeah, it's been a big shift the last couple of weeks, big shift. And I like the way it's going. It's making me feel good. And that's the long and short of it, really.
Wow. Okay. I didn't get a chance to listen to the voice message, so I will go back and listen to it. I made a note just like to actually go back and listen. So you've texted so much since then. I didn't realize you started therapy. I feel like the first session's always intake session anyway. You go through like your history, your personal background, like stuff like that. So therapy doesn't really start until like session 2 or session 3, and you're still like getting the vibe, feeling it out. I am really glad that you've started on it, though. I think it's going to help a ton. And the people I've heard that had BPD who like actually like actively deal with it with a therapist see changes and results, and I think it's really exciting and like really a great opportunity for you to like grow, because this is something that's like I feel like the two huge challenges that have come up again and again are the BPD and the gambling addiction, and I feel like you have a firm grasp on the addiction. I feel like you've like really overcome that, but the BPD like still comes out every once in a while.
BPD, and I think it's always going to be just like the addiction. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be somewhere hiding in my brain. I can just do my best to limit it.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I get the impression that's what sort of the therapy for it is, basically suppressing it and identifying the patterns. It's pattern recognition, basically, which again, pattern recognition and changing your pattern is something that we've learned a lot about throughout our lives, being in the Tony Robbins environment and dealing with NLP throughout our lives. So I think it's an exciting path. It's an exciting journey. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. The addiction, again, is always going to be there, and there are really tough weeks
Yeah.
where it really rears its head, and I'm like, wow, I'm about to relapse. And that's happening quite a lot since I started my new job.
Right.
But the big thing stay keeping away from addiction actually is the fact that so many people know about it, partly, but also like I'm so proud of how far I've come, and I really feel that I can use this to my advantage to actually make money from it, but not just to make money, but to help people.
Yeah.
I really want to help people from this, and a big goal of mine is to write a book about my story and teachings and learnings along the way. Bella has obviously written a movie about it, which she's still pitching left, right, and center, and she's really hoping it gets picked up. So let's say that movie gets made, and whether it's a hit or not, that movie is out there, and then I end up relapsing. It feels like it's all done in vain,
Yeah.
everything. So I think there's a huge amount of accountability that is holding me to the standards that I've set over the last 3.5 years that I didn't have the last time I went 2 years. The last time I went 2 years clean, I didn't have a massive social circle. Only a couple of people knew about it. My girlfriend at the time was the main thing keeping me sober. We broke up. I relapsed. So there's a large element of that. Just I have a huge accountability circle this time round, which
Yeah.
I just can't break. So those are the two things. The two biggest struggles in my life over the last 10 plus years, and I've got good mechanisms in place for both of them.
Yeah, I think so. And I think with this therapy, you're really gonna, in the same way that like you've really managed the gambling addiction in the last 2-3 years ish, like I think you're gonna have some sort of not same impact, but something. I'm hoping something similar, just because like you're gonna take some active work to like actively go through it and like work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I'm in a good space in that regard. I think just heading in the right direction. And as I say, the last 2 weeks, there's been a big difference already just with my own work that I've been putting in, not necessarily related to therapy. So, yeah, all good. All good in the hood.
Damn. Okay.
And what's up with you?
Well, last time we talked was Friday, and you literally caught me at the very beginning of my trip to Nice and the very beginning of my time with Monsieur 66, Mr. 66 for anyone who does not speak French. That's his nickname.
I've just understood that. I was going to ask you last week, but then I think he was actually right there when you
Yeah.
said it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was right there. It's because we lived together. We don't live together anymore, but we lived together, and he's just like the Mr. 66, because 66 is like our house number. Yeah, so
I figured, yeah.
yeah, so he's just like Mr. 66. The entirety of my Paris trip is like about 80 days. I think a little above or a little below 80 days. And I moved into the house immediately. Just for context, I started hooking up with this guy about 10 days into my stay. So we've been hooking up for 70 days or so, a little over 2 months, like maybe 2.5 months. I've been in Paris 2.5 months. We've been hooking up for about 2 months. And we set boundaries in the beginning, like neither of us were ready for relationships. We wanted to hook up for the summer, like whatever. And like this was something that you were super nervous. So you were like, don't catch any feelings. And I'm happy to say that like I did catch feelings, but I'm happy to say that they like only caught up to a certain point. There's like a hard ceiling there that like there's no long-term like he's my husband kind of feelings. That's not the case here.
Yeah.
But I did develop feelings for him. I'm not in love with him, but I do love him. Like he's a really incredible guy. And the last time we talked, you were catching me at the beginning of he's from Nice. So at the beginning of my time with him in his hometown, and also the beginning of our time together. But I said goodbye to him yesterday, and I don't know if or when I'm ever going to see this man again. So I've been pretty emotional about that, but it's like that's not the entirety of what's happening as far as like this like grief I'm experiencing. It's that plus like I am leaving. Today's Tuesday. I leave Paris on Saturday. So these are my last 4 or 5 days in Paris, like with my house in the office. Like I'm in the office today. I'm here alone. I don't think I'm going to see my coworkers before I leave, which is fine. We didn't get close anyway, but whatever. Just like something to note. But it's my last 4 days in the house. Like there was a lot of stuff in Paris I didn't get a chance to do or see that I like really wanted to this summer, which like no big deal. I'm sure I'm going to come back. So no big deal at all. But I think I'm just, I don't know, like in the process of, it's like very emotional thing. I'm just tired of fucking saying goodbye. And it's such a drastic contrast to my life in Miami, because when I left my relationship and when I left my life in Miami, it was very sudden, very unexpected. Like I expected my life in Miami to be permanent. I expected my relationship to be permanent. And then the rug just got literally in the span of 10 days, or a month, let's call it 10 days to a month, the rug got pulled out from under me. And I'm still grieving the end of that. Like I'm still grieving the end of my relationship. I'm still grieving the end of my life there, because they're so unexpected and sudden and really heartbreaking. And it's like the same but different, because I knew coming into this time, because this is the longest in the whole year I'm going to be somewhere. I knew coming into this time that it was going to be temporary. I literally had my return flight to go back to the States. Like I knew how many days I was going to be here. Like I knew what I wanted to do. I changed up my plan of what I wanted to do, but I knew all of that. And like I knew in the beginning that this was ephemeral. Like I knew this was temporary. And now that I'm at the end of this time, I feel so sad to leave. Like I feel really sad that my time with my friends is ending. My time with the house is ending. My time with my like summer romance ended. Like I feel so sad that this is all coming to an end. And I don't know, I was on the phone with our girlfriend earlier. I was in tears. Just, it's so much emotion just coming up. Like I just feel sad. Like I feel really sad that it's all coming to an end. And then like realizing that even the things that you think are permanent, like my last relationship and my last life, even the things you think are permanent might not be. Like things that you think are set in stone might not be. So it's like that whole quote, would you rather have loved and lost than not loved at all? Like I would definitely have much rather loved and lost. And I think the feelings of sadness and grief are definitely correlated to how strong the connection is, which is like a great thing that what a beautiful thing that I've been here for 80 days. And I can honestly say, I feel like I've developed some really close relationships and friendships. I can honestly say that I have truly taken advantage, and not even every single day, every single hour of this thing. It's something we talked about last week. Like I barely slept this whole summer because I've been immersing myself in Paris and immersing myself in my house and the house culture and like my friends and my work. And I'm just like immersing myself and I'm enjoying myself like so thoroughly. And I'm sad that this chapter is closing, and I feel really sad about it. And I'm like grieving through it. And I don't, like, our girlfriend was telling me, like, listen, you just have to process through this. There's really no magic wand solution. Like, even if you stayed, things are changing. Like, all your friends are leaving the house anyway. Like, this is just like life and time and what it is. And I think saying goodbye to Monsieur Sois yesterday, like, was the first big kickoff of, oh my God, things are ending.
Yeah.
Wow. Because up until that point, I was just like, oh, I'm like looking forward to my time here and like doing this and doing that. And now that, I was looking forward to my time in Nice. My time in Nice is done. Like my time with him is done. Like I don't know if or when I'm ever going to see this guy again. Like I'm hoping that we maintain some sort of thing, but if we do, cool. If we don't, cool. Not maintaining a sort of romantic thing, but some sort of relationship. If we do, cool. If we don't, cool. Regardless, like I'm really grateful that we had our time together. And it's like I look back on the summer. First of all, it was a freaking reality TV show. Okay, the fact that like 20 to 30 somethings are living in a house and like everyone's super hot and like it's truly a reality TV show. Like I was fully involved in a love triangle plus one. Like it was crazy, like craziness. But if I look back on my time in Paris, especially if I think about it like in terms of this like romantic relationship thing that I had, if I look back on my time, it was perfect. Like we set our boundaries really far, like literally as soon as we started hooking up, we set our boundaries and we talked about like what this isn't, like how everything is. Like the whole situation was great. Like it was awesome. And we feel the exact same way. We're on the exact same page. Like everything's it like came together so beautifully and so perfectly, like both the romance and my life, that it's okay, cool. Like it was all incredible. But now
Yeah.
I have to go. And now it's time for the next chapter. And I'm feeling super overwhelmed and stressed about the next chapters. Number one, because of Burning Man, and I feel like really underprepared for Burning Man. And I feel really overwhelmed about the preparations that need to take place next week. That's the first thing. And the second thing is Asia. Like I feel really nervous about Asia and like underprepared for that trip as well, especially since like I had this plan in my head and it looks like that plan is changing, which is fine. It's fine. Like I've gotten much better. That's one thing about Monsieur 66. Like he really brought out type B Sasha. Like he brought her out. Like it was great. But type A Sasha is now, oh shit, like things are coming up. Like Burning Man's coming up. My trip to Asia is coming up and I haven't prepped anything. Like I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like feeling really overwhelmed about that. And it's okay, well, what's the priority? And the same thing we talked about last week. It's, well, the priority is to really immerse yourself, to be present, do what has to get done, do what absolutely has to get done, essential. And then the rest will figure itself out, but it's okay. It's like, it is okay to just, and also it's okay to take a second and be upset because it truly is like a very painful experience. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just fucking tired of saying goodbye. I'm like tired of saying goodbye. I think the first couple months were pretty easy because I wasn't anywhere longer than 2 weeks. And by the time I left a place, I was ready to go. Like I was ready to be done. Like after 2 weeks in Rio, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. After 10 days, I was like, okay. In LA, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I was always ready to go. For the most part, there were a handful of places where I'm like, oh, I could see myself staying. But in general, with the experience, I was like, okay, I'm done with this chapter. I'm ready for the next.
Yeah.
And this time does not feel like that. Like I feel really quite sad to be leaving.
Of course. And that's completely understandable. A member of quite a few travel communities, travel forums, and generally one of the most asked questions or hottest topics is, how do you deal with saying goodbye to people when you're traveling for a prolonged period of time, right? So you mentioned how the places you were in before, you weren't there really long enough to build the relationships, but these people asking these questions are usually because they're traveling around a certain area, certain region for 2-3+ months, just like you have been in France and Paris. And is such a common issue in the travel community, especially the people who are traveling pretty much full time like you are. And it sounds like such a stock, or one of my stock responses, but there's a few different ways to look at this. The first is about gratitude and focusing in the moment on all of the amazing gifts and experiences and relationships and friendships that this has brought you over the last couple of months, and really feeling that and reminding yourself of how that felt and how amazing it was to experience that. So the first thing is practicing gratitude. The next thing is something that you tell me, but it's all the time. It's your kind of coined phrase, or maybe I think you got it from somewhere else. But I also see a similar sentiment on these forums, is that people come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And it depends how you want to look at the relationships that you've made over the last couple of months, whether they are a reason, season, or a lifetime. I'm about to sneeze. But I'm not. But that's something that's really pertinent here as well. And it is, as Mary also said, I think it's a combination of these three things: gratitude, focusing on or reminding yourself and coming to accept the fact that everyone comes into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and categorizing those people and accepting that is okay and that's part of life. But the third thing is combining the other two with this, what Mary said about just processing it. You have to allow yourself the time and the space to process it. I'm sure a lot of these people you will probably stay in touch with, but it is a part of life, especially when you're traveling, you're going around meeting so many different people. And when you position yourself in a house like you have done for the last couple of months, it was inevitable at some point. But there's no way to prepare for it. You can only experience it once you're actually going through it. And obviously you're starting to go through it right now. But as our friend said, I think it is a case of just allowing yourself to go through it. And you are going to feel the hard emotions when you leave, especially, but you will get to a point where you just think about what an amazing time you had. You'll look
Yeah.
back on it and you'll be like, in the first stages, I don't know how long it will take, feel sad to be home and to be away from these amazing people and experiences that you've had.
Bless you.
There it is. Yeah, that you've had over the last few months, but you will get to a point where you've processed through that and it will just be the memories of what an amazing fucking time you had.
Yeah. It's
And
going
you
to
need
be
to
like,
keep
yeah,
the faith in that.
exactly. Like up until this point, people keep asking me like, what's been your favorite part so far? And now I can easily say Paris, like easily. And I think you're completely right. Like I do need to allow myself time and space in the same way that we talked about this during the Rio episodes, where I was like really deep in grief over my life ending, my relationship ending. It's interesting, like the feelings are same but different. Like it's a different type of feeling, but the emotion itself is the same. When it's sad, it might not be to the same like level, but like allowing myself to feel it. Yeah, like I'm at work and I'm fucking crying into my laptop as I do. And just like allowing myself to feel that way. And I do feel a lot of gratitude for my time here and how amazing it's been and how special it's been and the friends I've made. And I think something else to note about the people coming into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime is that there is literally, because I completely agree with the sentiment, but the one like little asterisk I want to add to it is that there is literally zero way to tell and zero way to control what like how each relationship is going to show up in that way. And it might not be clear, I might think, I'm going to be friends with these people for the rest of my life, and then I'm not, and like we can't maintain this like long distance friendship. Or I could say, like I only was with Monsieur 66 for the summer, and then 10 years down the line I'm married to this man. You really never know. Not to say that's going to happen, but it's like you really don't know and you can't control it either. Like even if you want people to stay in your life for longer, if you want people to stay in your life like longer term, like if they're not willing to make that effort either, like you can't control that. So
Of course.
it's like being aware that people come and go and that's okay, but also doing my best not to force it in any certain direction and be grateful and be present for it and just like fully be okay with it. But it's just something, it's also something to note too. In about 2 weeks, I'll be 2/3 of the way through this year, which is crazy to think about. I don't know, thinking about, okay, like what places were I was sad to leave these places. Why? Was it the place? Was it the people? Was it the community? Was it like the feeling? Was it the season? Like the fact that I really skipped winter this year. Like I've lived in Paris before in the fall and didn't have this type of lust for the city in the same way, because like maybe it's like we talked about seasonal depression quite a lot, like maybe it's a season thing too. That's something to take into account and something to take note of. So it's like really it's a lot of different factors, and it's something to be very present with and very aware of. And I don't know, but it is really challenging right now. And
Yeah. But it's okay to feel what you're feeling. You're human and you have to allow yourself to be human. And I know you do. You're not necessarily one to hold back your emotions, or at least attempt to. So it's good that you're feeling the way you are, and it's going to be part of the process, just like it is with, and in a way you are grieving right now when, you're saying goodbye to these relationships, these friendships, to Paris, to the house. There's lots of different things that you're actually saying goodbye to, and it's not necessarily goodbye forever, like in a lot of cases of grief, but
it could be.
it could be, and
And it's the lack of certainty too that kind of gets me there.
Well, this was what I was going to say next, actually. So it was a very nice segue that you brought that up. And this because it's touching on the point about Burning Man and planning Asia. Throughout this year, you've really struggled with the uncertainty of the year and wanting to have everything planned, right? And I feel like before Paris, you actually got to a point where you were getting pretty good at that. You were getting better, at least. And I think there's probably evidence in our podcast episodes. I'd have to listen back, but I think you were definitely getting better and embracing it. And I think we did discuss it on the podcast a couple of times. But now you've been in one place for over 2 months and you've become used to that element of certainty again. And so the thought of not having it planned enough for Burning Man, or not having, or your plans changing for Asia, that's scaring you, or is causing you stress or anxiety or negative emotions. And I think a big part of this year, from where I'm sitting, something that come into this year feeling very afraid of that uncertainty. I think moving forward for the rest of the year is something that you really need to embrace and really need to move past. I think that could be a really big thing for you this year, is actually getting over that almost fear of uncertainty. Now, I don't know what your situation is for Burning Man. I don't know how unprepared you are, but with Asia and the way you've described what the Asia situation, A, you have time to book it when you're back from Paris, or you should have time. And B, with any travel plan, is subject to change. You've got to be flexible. And if you had this plan in your mind, again, I don't know what the change is that you're talking about, and you still haven't even booked anything. Am I right in saying that? Have you still not booked?
I've only booked Japan, and that's for October. Yeah, but that's it.
Okay.
So
So you've only booked one leg. There's a lot you haven't booked still. So it's okay for things to change, and they may change very late notice. Not necessarily, hopefully not last minute. But this is just part of traveling. It does happen.
But
Unfortunately / fortunately, because actually I found that some of the best experiences I've had traveling have been the ones that weren't planned, that I've had to change my plans. And as a result, I've had to do this new plan, and it's given me the best experiences. And I'm like, thank God that plan changed. You know?
right, the change that's happening is the best change. I had a general idea about Asia and like what I wanted to do each country, but the change that happened that sparked all the changes in dates is because it looks like my best friend might be joining me.
Oh my God.
Or
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
so
that,
yeah, right? Like it looks like, I don't know if we talked about Parker. Have we? Yeah, well,
yeah.
yeah. So Parker might be joining me. For those of you at home who don't know Parker, he's one of my childhood best friends. I've known him since I was 5 years old. And we've like never done like a big trip together, like trips like here and there, but like nothing like international. And he down to come to Asia with me. He's going to take a couple weeks off of work. So it's like a great change, like to have my best friend join me. Super exciting. And then the other thing I want to say about the planning thing is you're completely right. Like it was really stressing me out, this like lack of planning. I think that in some ways being here has healed a lot of it. Not all of it at all. I think now that I'm like about to leave, it's like coming back in a little bit, especially with these like bigger things like Asia and Burning Man. Like just the preparations around that are a little bit more intense. But being here, this was something we talked about a lot before I got to the Europe trip, or before I got to the Europe leg, where I was like, oh, I like really want to embrace more spontaneity on the Europe leg of this trip. Like I really want to just enjoy it. And it's funny because I was like looking back on my trip and I was like, well, I actually did do that. Like I did go on random trips with, like I went on a random trip to the countryside with Monsieur Sponsosis and his friends. And I just found out last week where we were. Like I had no idea where we
no
were.
way.
I had
Nice.
no idea where we stayed. We went to 8 different villages and I had zero clue. I was like, I don't know the names of these villages. I don't know where I am. I looked up on my phone, like the photos to see on the map, like zero clue. And I was like, just to be able to embrace spontaneity like that, even in Nice with him, like I had zero clue what we were doing every day, and zero clue. He took care of everything. And like, even if I asked him a question, he'd stop asking me questions. Just trust me. Like I was like, actually, you're right. Like, I do trust you, and cool. Like, you know me, whatever, cool. And I think I've embraced more spontaneity on this leg of the trip and more like slowing down and chilling out. And I don't have to go to Lithuania this year. It's okay. It's fine. But it is something I need to heal, just like being more go with the flow. And I think this go with the flow Sasha has really come out during this European leg of the trip. But now that I'm like getting back into, oh shit, I need to start like planning travel again. Fuck. That is getting stressful. But yeah, I think you're completely right with everything you said, and just like allowing myself the time, space, and energy to just like process through it, because otherwise I'm just going to keep suppressing everything and then it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think you're in the right headspace. It may feel harsh right now, but I think you are thinking the right way. Or maybe not thinking the right way, but you know what you need to do, right? And you know what's going to happen in the future. You know what's going to happen, probably even in the coming weeks, as to how you're going to be feeling. But at least you are aware of what you need to do. I think that's the most important thing. Some people just glide through life feeling these feelings and not knowing what they need to do to cope or to get through it, or that actually things will get better.
Yeah, exactly. I just, it's like it's like allowing myself the space. I think is going to be the most challenging part, not letting the logistics of life get in the way of me needing to process through everything I'm going through emotionally, because like my natural tendency is to drown myself in like work to get my shit done, or to drown myself in all my to-do lists. But I have to do that, because if I don't, like, things will fall apart. But
Yeah,
at the same time, I don't have to do that completely. Like, I can still build in time to feel my shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, 100%. You have to do that. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's been pretty rough today. I'm hoping that it can just,
Feel the feels.
yeah.
Feel the
the feels.
feels, process through it, and when you're ready, start reminiscing, write down the best parts of this trip. That little highlight reel for you to think about while you're writing it. That will make you feel better. I think that's probably something to do when you're gone, when you're traveling, or when you're back home, have some time. I think that's a really good
plane ride
idea.
home.
There you go, exactly. I think that, yeah, and it may bring you to tears, but it'd be a nice thing to actually, it's a nice exercise to do and something nice to look back on.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll see how it goes. Next week is, I'm like, oh, I'll have time when I go back to the States. And I'm like, next week is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's okay. And the week after is like literally the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks are insane. So we'll see how I do.
Yeah, we'll find out next time.
We'll find out next week, apparently. All right, y'all. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.